My wife loudly toasted at the party. I'm officially gifting myself a well-deserved divorce. All her close friends laughed hysterically together. I calmly turned directly to Emily and said, "Why are you laughing so hard? She'll be generously gifting herself to your husband again right after this party ends." I never thought my marriage would end at my wife's birthday party in our own house with her making a toast about it. The living room was packed around 30 people, mostly her friends from work and that tight group she'd been spending more time with lately. Music playing, drinks flowing, everyone laughing. I was near the kitchen keeping things running, making sure nobody needed anything. Then she climbed onto a chair in the middle of the room. Everyone, I need your attention." She was holding her wine glass high, that huge smile on her face, the kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. The room went quiet, all eyes on her. "I want to thank you all for coming tonight. This birthday is special because I'm making it special." She paused for effect, looking around the room. "I'm officially gifting myself a well-deserved divorce." The words hung in the air for maybe 2 seconds before her close friends erupted, cheering, clapping, raising their glasses. Emily was the loudest, practically screaming with laughter, doubled over like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. I stayed exactly where I was, watching, my face neutral, not shocked, not angry, just watching. My wife caught my eye across the room, still standing on that chair, still smiling, waiting for my reaction, probably wanting to see me crumble in front of everyone. I looked at Emily instead, still laughing hysterically, wiping tears from her eyes. Her husband Blake was standing about 6 feet away from her near the bookshelf. He'd gone pale, absolutely pale. That's when I moved. I walked through the crowd straight to the center of the room. Everyone was still caught up in the moment. Some confused, some cheering, some just uncomfortable. I stopped right next to Emily. "Why are you laughing so hard?" I said it loud enough for everyone to hear, but calm, genuinely curious tone. Emily turned to me, still grinning. "What? I'm serious. Why is this so funny to you?" I looked directly at her. "She'll be generously gifting herself to your husband again right after this party ends." The laughter died like someone cut the power. Emily's face changed instantly. Confusion, then shock, then something else. She looked at me, then at my wife, who was still on the chair, but frozen now, then across the room at Blake. Blake was already backing toward the door. "What are you talking about?" Emily's voice had gone sharp. I pulled out my phone, already open to the folder I'd prepared. Photos, timestamps, text messages I'd managed to capture. "Your husband and my wife have been seeing each other for 5 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday when you thought she was at book club, they were at the Riverside in room 214 specifically." I held the phone where Emily could see it, close enough for her, far enough that others nearby could glimpse it too. My wife finally found her voice. "That's not true. He's making this up because he's embarrassed." "Blake, want to tell her, or should I?" I turned to face him. He'd stopped backing up, but it looked like he wanted to disappear through the wall. Emily grabbed my phone, scrolling through the images. Her hands were shaking. One photo showed them in a restaurant booth, his arm around her shoulders. Another showed them walking into that hotel, holding hands. The timestamps were clear. "You knew she was cheating," I said to Emily, keeping that same calm tone. "She told you weeks ago you helped her plan this whole public divorce announcement. You thought it was hilarious that she was going to humiliate me in my own house." Emily was staring at the phone, at Blake, at my wife, not laughing anymore. "But you didn't know it was Blake, did you?" The room had gone completely silent. You could hear someone's drink fizzing in their glass. My wife climbed down from the chair, suddenly desperate. "It's not what it looks like. We need to talk privately." "No, we really don't." I took my phone back from Emily, who was now turning to face Blake with an expression I'd never seen on anyone's face before. Pure betrayal mixed with rage. "Blake," her voice cracked. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Emily, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain this." She was scrolling through something on her own phone, now probably checking dates, connecting dots. People were starting to leave quietly, grabbing coats, mumbling excuses, slipping out the door. Nobody wanted to be part of this anymore. My wife tried to approach me. "We need to talk about this like adults." "Adults?" I let out a short laugh. "Adults don't climb on chairs to announce divorce as entertainment. Adults don't invite their affair partner to their husband's house and play touchy games with him all night, thinking nobody notices." Chloe, one of her other close friends, spoke up from near the couch. "Wait, they were tonight, all night." I confirmed, the little touches on his arm when she passed him. The inside jokes. The way they kept gravitating toward each other. "I'm surprised more of you didn't catch it." Blake was edging toward the door again. Emily saw it and moved fast, blocking his path. "You're not going anywhere." More people left. Within 2 minutes, the living room went from 30 people to maybe 8, just the core group who were too shocked to move, plus the 4 of us at the center of it. My wife was crying now. "How long have you known?" "Long enough," I said. "Long enough to contact a lawyer. Long enough to separate our accounts. Long enough to document everything I needed to document. You can't just—" "I didn't just do anything. You stood on a chair and announced you wanted a divorce in front of everyone in our house." I looked around at the remaining people. "You all heard it. She wants out." I'm simply making sure she gets exactly what she asked for on my terms, not hers. Emily and Blake had started their own argument near the door, voices rising. Her friends were trying to decide if they should stay or go, looking at each other with wide eyes. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the couch. Party's over. Everyone needs to leave. This is my house, too, my wife said. Actually, it's my house, my name on the deed. Bought it 2 years before we got married. Something my lawyer was very happy to confirm. Her face went white. She hadn't thought about that. Everyone out now. I said it firmly, but without yelling. I didn't need to yell. They left, all of them, Emily dragging Blake out while screaming at him. My wife's friends looking back with sympathy for her that I didn't care about. Chloe was the last one out, giving my wife a hug and whispering something before leaving. Then it was just us. My wife stood in the middle of the living room, mascara running, birthday decorations still hanging on the walls. I never meant for it to go this far. You climbed on a chair and announced our divorce to a room full of people. How much further could it go? I was angry. You've been distant. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't try to make this about something I did. You made your choice. Multiple choices for 5 months. Can we just talk about this? No. I headed for the bedroom. I'm sleeping at a hotel tonight. You can sleep here. Tomorrow, my lawyer will contact you with the divorce papers. Sign them. Don't make this harder than you already have. Where are you going? I stopped at the doorway, looked back at her standing there alone in the wreckage of her own party. Somewhere I don't have to look at you. I grabbed what I needed from the bedroom, walked past her without another word, and left. My house, my car, my life. I was taking back behind me. I heard her start to sob. I didn't stop walking. The night air was cold. I sat in my car for a minute, engine running, looking at the house, lights still on, decorations visible through the windows, a birthday party that became a funeral for a marriage. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I opened it. This is Chloe. I know we don't know each other well, but I'm sorry for what happened. She told us you were controlling and distant. She never mentioned Blake. We wouldn't have supported this if we knew the truth. I didn't respond. I put the phone in the cup holder and drove away. The hotel I checked into was basic but clean. I sat on the edge of the bed, adrenaline finally wearing off, and let myself feel it. Not sadness, not anger, just exhaustion. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from her, calls I didn't answer. After the 10th one, I blocked her number. Tomorrow would be about lawyers and logistics. Tonight was about getting the first genuine sleep I'd had in weeks, knowing I'd handled it exactly the way I needed to, with control, with evidence, with dignity. I turned off the lights and stretched out on the bed. Somewhere across town, Emily was probably having the worst night of her life. Too good. She'd helped plan my public humiliation, laughing the whole time, not knowing karma was already waiting for her. My wife had wanted to gift herself a divorce. She got it, just not the way she'd imagined. 3 weeks earlier, everything seemed normal, or at least I thought it did. I work as a systems analyst for a logistics company. Decent pay, standard hours, nothing glamorous. My wife worked in HR at a mid-sized firm downtown. We had our routines, breakfast together most mornings, dinner when our schedules aligned, weekends doing errands or seeing friends. Then things started shifting. It was small at first. She started coming home later on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Book club, she said. A group of women from work who met to discuss novels and drink wine. Fine, she'd mentioned it before, and I had no reason to question it. But she also started being more careful with her phone, keeping it face down, taking calls in other rooms, smiling at messages, and then quickly locking the screen when I walked by. I'm not naturally suspicious. I'd never checked her phone, never followed her, never questioned where she was going. We'd been married 6 years. I trusted her until that Tuesday night. 3 weeks before her birthday, I'd gotten home from work around 6 o'clock. She wasn't there yet. I made dinner, ate alone, watched part of a game. Around 9 o'clock, I heard her car in the driveway. She came in looking flushed, happy, more animated than she'd been around me in months. How was book club? I asked from the couch. Great, we're reading this amazing thriller. You wouldn't like it. She kicked off her shoes, grabbed a water from the fridge. I'm exhausted though, going to shower and head to bed. This late on a work night, we went out for drinks after. Lost track of time. She was already heading toward the bedroom. I nodded, went back to the game, didn't think much of it. An hour later, I headed to bed myself. She was already under the covers, scrolling through her phone, the screen lighting up her face in the dark. I got ready for bed, climbed in on my side. She put her phone on the nightstand, said goodnight, and turned away from me. I was almost asleep when her phone buzzed once, twice, 3 times. In quick succession, she grabbed it immediately. I kept my eyes closed, breathing steady like I was already out. I heard her typing fast, then a quiet laugh. More typing. This went on for maybe 10 minutes. Finally, she put the phone down and settled back into the pillow. I waited another 20 minutes, making sure she was actually asleep. Her breathing had evened out, deep and slow. I carefully reached over to my nightstand, grabbed my own phone, and went to the bathroom. Closed the door quietly, turned on the fan to cover any noise. I opened our phone account online. We shared a plan, and I could see call and text logs for both numbers. I'd never looked before, never had a reason to. I scrolled through her recent activity. There was a number that appeared constantly, multiple times a day, calls that lasted 30 to 40 minutes, texts sent in clusters, especially late at night. The number wasn't saved in my contacts. I didn't recognize it. I copied it and ran it through a basic online search. Nothing came up under a name, but the area code was local. I sat there on the bathroom floor staring at my phone, trying to convince myself there was a logical explanation. Maybe it was someone from work. Maybe it was about a project. Maybe it was Emily or one of her other friends. But the texts at 11 at night, the 40-minute calls on her drive home from book club. I went back to bed. She was still asleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling until my alarm went off at 6 o'clock. The next morning she was in a good mood, made coffee, kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, told me she loved me. I said it back automatically at work. I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about that phone number, about the pattern, about how she'd been different lately. During lunch, I did something I'd never done before. I drove to her office building and parked across the street. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I'd see her eating lunch with co-workers and feel stupid for doubting her. I waited. At 12:30, she came out the front entrance. She wasn't alone. A man walked next to her, tall, probably early 40s, wearing a button-down shirt and dark pants. They were laughing about something. He touched her arm as they crossed the street toward a nearby cafe. I watched them through the cafe window, sitting across from each other, leaning in close. At one point he reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel, telling myself it could be a coworker, a friend, nothing inappropriate. But the way she smiled at him, the way she played with her hair, the way she leaned forward, engaged in a way she hadn't been with me in months. I pulled out my phone and called the mysterious number from her call log. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. A man's voice, generic greeting, no name. I hung up without leaving a message. That night, she came home on time. We had dinner together. She talked about her day, complained about her boss, asked about my work. Everything normal except I kept seeing her hand reaching across that cafe table, kept seeing his hand covering hers. "You okay?" she asked, noticing I'd barely touched my food. "Fine, just tired." Thursday came, another book club night, she said. That morning she'd be home late again. I left work early that day, told my boss I wasn't feeling well, which wasn't a lie. I felt sick to my stomach. I drove to the Riverside Inn. It's a decent hotel on the edge of town, nothing fancy, but clean and private. The kind of place business travelers use. I parked where I could see the entrance and waited. At 6:15, her car pulled into the lot. She parked near the side entrance. 5 minutes later, a truck pulled in. The man from the cafe got out. They met near the side door. He put his arm around her waist. She leaned into him. They went inside together. I sat there for 2 hours, watched the sun go down, watched other people come and go, watched the lights in the windows. At 8:30, they came out separately this time, 5 minutes apart. She got in her car, checked her makeup in the rearview mirror, and drove away. He left right after. I followed her, kept several cars back. She stopped at a grocery store, bought wine and some snacks, then headed home. I gave her a 15-minute head start before pulling into our driveway. When I walked in, she was on the couch with a glass of wine, a book open on her lap. "Hey, how was your day?" Bright smile, relaxed, long. I said, "How was book club?" "Good, we're really getting into this one. I think you'd actually like it." She held up the book. I recognized the cover. It had been sitting on our coffee table for 3 weeks, unopened. "Maybe I'll borrow it when you're done," I said. That weekend I heard her on the phone in the garage. I'd gone out to grab something from the freezer and heard her voice through the door. Next Friday at the house, turning 38. Big party. Lots of people. Pause. "Of course you're invited. It'll be perfect." Another pause. Longer this time. "She thinks it's hilarious. Said I should do it there in front of everyone. Make it memorable." She laughed. "Emily's already helping me plan the whole thing. It's going to be perfect." I stood outside that door holding a bag of frozen vegetables, listening to my wife plan something I knew instinctively was going to be bad for me. "No, he won't see it coming. He's been completely clueless." Her voice had this edge to it. Satisfaction. "Maybe. I know. Okay. See you Tuesday." She ended the call. I waited 10 seconds, then opened the door like I just arrived. "Hey, did we have any?" She jumped, nearly dropped her phone. "Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. It's fine. Just talking to Emily about the party." She recovered quickly. "Did you need something?" "Just these." I held up the vegetables. "I'll let you finish your call." "Already done." She followed me back inside, already texting someone. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. I wasn't going to tip my hand. If she was planning something for her party, if Emily was involved, if that man was going to be there, then I'd let it happen, but I'd be ready. Over the next 2 weeks I documented everything. Times she said she was at book club, but was actually at the Riverside, and calls to that number. Text message timestamps. I even managed to get photos when they met for lunch, sitting in my car like some amateur detective. I felt pathetic doing it, but I needed proof, not for me, I already knew, but for what was coming. I also quietly met with a lawyer, explained the situation, brought my documentation. He walked me through what divorce would look like, especially given that the house was in my name alone, purchased before marriage. If she's planning to blindside you publicly, he said, you need to be prepared to act fast, to have everything ready to file immediately. I had everything ready the Friday before her party. She was practically glowing, excited about the decorations, the guest list, the food. She'd invited around 40 people, friends from work, her close group, some neighbors. Did you invite Blake? I asked casually while she was going over the list. She looked up. Blake? You mean Emily's husband? Yeah, of course. Emily's one of my closest friends. They're both coming. Cool. I went back to my laptop. She didn't notice anything different in my tone. Didn't notice that I'd started moving important documents out of the house. Didn't notice that I'd already packed a bag and left it in my car. She was too focused on her surprise. 2 days before the party, I heard her on the phone again with Emily. Can't wait to see his face. And yes, Blake will definitely be there. This is going to be legendary. They both laughed. I finished loading the dishwasher, said nothing, and went to bed early. The night before her birthday, she was too excited to sleep, kept checking her phone, smiling at messages. Big day. Tomorrow, I said. The biggest. She turned to look at me in the dark. Thank you for being supportive about the party. Of course, I said. It's your birthday, should be memorable. It will be. She kissed me, then rolled over and fell asleep within minutes. I lay there thinking about what was coming, about the chair she'd probably climb on, about the announcement she'd make, about Emily laughing, not knowing her own husband was the reason for it all. I thought about the man I'd seen her with, who she'd invited to our house, who she'd been seeing for 5 months while I worked and paid bills and trusted her. I didn't sleep much that night, but I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Tomorrow she'd get exactly what she wanted, just not the way she expected. The party day arrived. I had everything ready, documentation backed up, lawyer on standby, accounts separated, photos organized on my phone. We spent the day setting up decorations like a normal couple. She kept checking her phone, smiling at messages. Around 4 o'clock, Emily showed up early to help. I heard them whispering in the kitchen about how tonight would be perfect. When Emily came to the garage, I asked if Blake was coming. Yeah, around 7 o'clock, she said. Should be interesting. She had no clue how interesting it would actually be. Guests started arriving at 7 o'clock. Blake showed up 15 minutes later, acting relaxed and confident. Throughout the night, I watched him and my wife exchange looks, touches on the arm, inside jokes. Emily never noticed. She was too busy enjoying herself, completely blind to what was happening in front of her. Around 8, I caught them talking in the laundry room. Their voices were low, but I heard enough. After tonight, it won't matter, she said. He'll be too humiliated to fight the divorce. Everyone will think he's the problem. Brilliant plan, Blake replied. They came out separately. I went back to the party and positioned myself near the kitchen. At 8:45, she climbed onto a chair and raised her wine glass. The room went quiet. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. This birthday is special because I'm making it special. I'm officially gifting myself a well-deserved divorce. Her close friends erupted. Emily was the loudest, laughing hysterically. Blake went pale. I stayed calm, then walked straight to Emily. Why are you laughing so hard? I asked. She turned, still grinning. What? She'll be generously gifting herself to your husband again right after this party ends. The room went silent. Emily's smile died instantly. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. Your husband and my wife have been seeing each other for 5 months, every Tuesday and Thursday at the Riverside in room 214. Emily grabbed my phone, hands shaking as she scrolled through the images. Her face went from shock to pure rage. That's not true, my wife shouted. He's making this up. Blake, want to tell her, or should I? I turned to face him. Emily looked up from the phone. You told me it was someone from work. You never said it was Blake. You knew she was cheating. I said to Emily, loud enough for everyone. You helped plan this public divorce announcement. You thought humiliating me was hilarious, but you didn't know it was your own husband she was sleeping with. Emily turned to Blake. How long? 5 months, my wife said quietly. Emily's face hardened. Get out, Blake. Now we should talk. Get out. He left. Others followed. The party was over. My wife tried to approach me. We need to talk. No. You wanted public, you got public. You stood on a chair and announced our divorce. But you don't control how this ends. This is my house. 2, it's my house, my name on the deed. My lawyer confirmed it. Her face went white. She hadn't thought about that. Everyone out now. They left. Emily stopped at the door, looked at my wife with disgust. I trusted you. We're done. Don't ever contact me again. Then it was just us. Birthday decorations still hanging, her mascara running. I never meant for it to go this far, she said. You climbed on a chair and announced our divorce to a room full of people. How much further could it go? I grabbed my jacket. I'm staying at a hotel tomorrow. My lawyer will contact you. Sign the papers. Where are you going? I looked back one last time. Somewhere I don't have to look at you. I drove to the hotel, checked in, and finally let myself breathe. My phone kept buzzing with her calls and messages. After the 10th one, I blocked her number. I laid down and slept better than I had in months. She'd wanted to gift herself a divorce. She got it along with losing her best friend, her reputation, and the man she thought she'd be with. Sunday morning I woke up to 63 missed calls and over 100 messages. Not from Violet. I'd blocked that number. These were from people at the party. I deleted most without reading. My lawyer called around 10, papers ready to file tomorrow morning. This should be straightforward. Good, do it. I stayed at my friend Mason's place. He'd heard what happened. Emily filed for divorce this morning. He told me showed up at a lawyer's office when they opened. Blake got kicked out. She changed the locks. Smart woman. She's furious. 8 years of friendship with Violet gone. All because Violet was sleeping with her husband and let her help plan your public humiliation. Monday, my lawyer filed the papers. Violet was served at her office around 11. My phone started ringing immediately. Unknown numbers. I ignored them all. One voicemail I did listen to was from Emily. Her voice was cold but steady. You didn't have to tell me the truth. You could have just left, but you did. Thank you for that. I hope your divorce goes smoothly. I saved that message. Tuesday, my lawyer called. She hired someone. They want to negotiate. What do they want? Half the house. Claims she contributed to maintaining it. No, the house was mine before marriage. I already told them they're pushing back, but have no ground. They also want half your savings. We separated accounts. She has her own money. They're still asking. And she's claiming emotional distress from your public revelation. I laughed. She announced our divorce on a chair in front of 30 people. I just responded. That's what I told them. Thursday I went back to the house and changed all the locks. Her stuff was everywhere. I packed it into boxes and stacked them in the garage. I texted her from a new number. Your stuff is boxed in the garage. Pick it up this week or I'm donating it. I laughed. She announced our divorce on a chair in front of 30 people. I just responded. That's what I told them. Thursday I went back to the house and changed all the locks. Her stuff was everywhere. I packed it into boxes and stacked them in the garage. I texted her from a new number. Your stuff is boxed in the garage. Pick it up this week or I'm donating it. You can't kick me out. That's my house too. Check the deed. Always been mine. This is illegal. I'm calling my lawyer. Go ahead. She didn't respond after that. Friday she showed up with her sister to collect her things. I watched from the window as they loaded boxes. She looked up, saw me standing there, just stared for a moment. I didn't wave, didn't move, just watched until they left. Saturday morning I got a text from Chloe. Violet tried to go to Emily's yesterday. Emily wouldn't let her in, told her to leave or she'd call the police. Another text came from someone named Bryce. This is Emily's brother. Blake moved out of state, took a job transfer, thought you should know, so Blake ran. Couldn't face what he'd done. Violet stayed because she had nowhere to go. Her family wasn't happy, her friends abandoned her. Emily would never speak to her again. She burned every bridge. Sunday, exactly 1 week after the party, I sat on my porch with coffee. Quiet, peaceful mind. My lawyer texted hearing in 2 weeks. She's not contesting anymore. Wants it done. Perfect. 1 week destroyed everything for her. She'd wanted freedom. Wanted to humiliate me. Wanted to leave clean with Blake and start fresh. Instead, she lost her husband, her best friend, her home, her reputation, and Blake. I didn't feel bad, not even slightly. I finished my coffee and started my day. Work, gym, errands, life moving forward. The hearing would make it official, but it already fell over. She was gone. Blake was gone. The lies were exposed. I'd handled it with control, evidence, and dignity. She'd climbed on that chair thinking she was winning. She'd lost everything instead. And I'd won by simply telling the truth. 2 weeks later, the hearing arrived. I sat in that courtroom watching Violet across the room with her lawyer. She looked tired, defeated. The judge reviewed everything, the house deed, showing my sole ownership before marriage, the separated bank accounts, the evidence of her affair, her public announcement of divorce. Her lawyer tried arguing she deserved compensation for emotional distress. The judge shut that down immediately. Your client announced the divorce publicly at a party in his home. The respondent simply provided context to that announcement. There's no case for distress here. 30 minutes, that's all it took. Divorce granted, house stays mine. She gets nothing beyond what's already in her account. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt lighter than I had in months. Violet tried to approach me in the parking lot. Can we talk? No, I just want to explain. There's nothing to explain. It's done. Move on. I got in my car and drove away. Last time I saw her over the next month, life settled into a new normal. Work, gym, time with friends. The house felt bigger, quieter, but in a good way. Mason told me Violet had moved back in with her parents. Emily's divorce was also finalized. She'd started dating someone new, according to mutual friends. Good for her. I ran into Chloe at the grocery store one afternoon. She stopped to talk. How are you doing? She asked. Good. Actually, good. I'm glad. Violet tried contacting some of us last week. Wants to apologize. Wants us to understand her side. Chloe shook her head. Nobody's interested. Not surprised. She destroyed her own life. Emily won't ever forgive her. None of us will. What she did was unforgivable. I nodded. She made her choices. You handled it better than anyone expected. You could have made it uglier. Didn't need to. The truth was ugly enough. 3 months after the party, I was living proof that walking away with dignity works, my reputation intact, my house, mine, my life moving forward. Violet lost everything trying to humiliate me. Emily lost her marriage but gained clarity. Blake ran away like a coward. And me, I gained peace, freedom, the satisfaction of knowing I never lowered myself to their level. Some nights I sat on that back porch, coffee in hand, thinking about how different things could have been if I'd reacted with anger instead of strategy. But I didn't. I stayed calm, collected evidence, and let her destroy herself with her own plan. She'd wanted to gift herself a divorce. She got exactly that, along with every consequence that came with it. I didn't need revenge. Truth was enough. 6 months later, I was sitting at a bar with Mason on a regular Friday night. Life had completely turned around. Ever hear from her? Mason asked. No, and I don't want to. Fair enough. You know, Emily got engaged last month. Good for her. She deserves happiness. And Violet apparently moved to another state. Couldn't handle everyone knowing what she did. I took a drink. Not my problem anymore. Mason raised his glass too, moving on. Moving on. The divorce taught me something valuable. You don't need to scream, fight, or get revenge. Sometimes the best response is calm, strategic action. Let people destroy themselves with their own choices. Violet wanted her moment of glory. She got public humiliation instead. Emily wanted to support her friend. Learned that friend was betraying her in the worst way. Blake wanted his affair to stay hidden. He ended up exposed and running away. I wanted my dignity. I kept it. These days I wake up in my house without walking on eggshells. No checking phones, no wondering where anyone is. No lies, just peace. Sometimes people ask if I regret how I handled it. Should I? We have confronted her privately. Should I have just left quietly? No, she chose that stage. She climbed on that chair. She made it public. I simply made sure the full story was told, not just her version. Would I change anything? Maybe I'd have caught it sooner. Maybe I'd have ended it before the party. But honestly, the way it happened showed everyone exactly who she was. No questions, no doubts, just truth. I finished my drink and headed home, my life, my fresh start.